Hello, hello, good evening. Good evening. I am Tia Ramey, and I am here to have a conversation with you all. I think that everyone has been familiar with. First off, I want to say thank you so much for watching this broadcast. I thought it was important to have a dialogue. If you know me, I love doing communication tips and strategies for leaders. I am inside my studio, MVP Studio, in our podcast studio uh, doing this broadcast for the very first time. So, if you're joining me for the first time, welcome. And I just want to say that I really appreciate all those who have been supporters and watchers and listeners. Again, I love doing communication tips and strategies for leaders. I spend a lot of time with leaders. I am a content creator for leaders. So, what I do is I do social media content, and I've spent so many time with so much great people. I always say the leaders are walking content. They're usually going out and they're doing speaking engagements and they're teaching and they're training and they've got their books and all the things that they do to serve people in communities. So I've picked up so many wonderful tools and resources over the years for how to support them. And I was inspired by all the different ways that leaders have to learn how to communicate so that they can make positive impacts on people. I wrote a book about it. It's called Canceled: Mastering Difficult Conversations in a Modern World. You should check it out. If you can, subscribe to my YouTube channel, tiaramey.com. And just keep in mind that I usually pull my topics from people that I come across in various communities, especially people who are leaders, entrepreneurs, business owners, people who are trying to climb. That's usually my network and my circle. And so I get comments on my videos that I do about how to communicate with yourself. So the first year of my podcast, I did all these communication tips about how to talk to someone else. And then I've been focusing on the series of how do you communicate with yourself. One of the things I wanted to talk about tonight specifically was imposter syndrome. So important. I come across many women, business women or aspiring business women, career women who struggle with imposter syndrome. And what that means is that oftentimes you may feel like a phony. You may feel like, hey, I don't have all these capabilities. I don't have all these strengths. I don't belong here. It's really easy to feel like you don't belong in the room, especially if you are building your business for the very first time, or you're in this path or a track towards elevation. Many of us have been on that track where, you're finally bold enough to go out and follow your dreams. You're in that part of your life where you're tired of the old, you're ready to jump out and do something new. And though it is exciting, there's a part of that that is slightly terrifying, that you're going to step out and you're going to become something that you never were before, potentially. That's how that feels, right? Maybe your family background wasn't in alignment with the trajectory of your growth and what is in your heart to do. And so it's very hard when doors start opening for you to feel like you belong there, or to say, should I walk through that door? What if I'm not smart enough? Everyone over there, they have the pedigrees, they have the experience. I'm here, I'm here, I don't know what I'm doing. It is so easy to allow those thoughts to come into your mind. And I wanted to talk to you all and give you some tips on how do you regulate that? How do you deal with imposter syndrome? How do you go from believing I don't belong here? Should I go here? What will happen if I go, to I do belong here? I am where I'm supposed to be. And they're going to be glad that I came. So I want to help you with the internal dialogue of what it takes for you to build up the strength to be confident that you are right where you need to be right here at this time. Now, I love to preface my content with letting people know I'm a person of faith, and my perspective comes from my background as a believer. And so I'm going to give you the tips and advice that have inspired me to do all the things that I've been blessed to do in my business and in my time in leadership. And so I can only give you what I've got, okay? So anyway, one thing that I've noticed about imposter syndrome, and I know this is someone who has experienced it. I too am a person who did not come from a family of business owners. My parents work in public service. So this entrepreneurship journey, I've been on it for 10 years now, being self-employed for the first 10 now, learning to be a business owner with a team, with staff and a payroll, and all those things are very new to me. Going into it, imposter syndrome is highly relatable. You don't always feel like you deserve to be there. You don't always feel as though you have the support. to be in those spaces sometimes, especially if you're a minority. Maybe you're a woman, you're the only woman in the room, you're the youngest person in the room, you're the darkest person in the room. You especially start to feel that way, and you're tempted to entertain those thoughts as though you don't belong where you are, when in fact you are in the best possible position, especially if you are a minority and people are not used to seeing you in those spaces. Then you should especially be there and open the door for someone else. But this is what I want to get to. This is the thing that I would like for you to understand. The thing you need to understand is imposter syndrome oftentimes, and I found a trend. This is my personal synopsis for what it means and what I've seen in other leaders and women I've had to coach through this. Women who are running for office, women who are aspiring for great things. They usually go through that period of feeling and experiencing imposter syndrome, mostly because they feel alone. And it takes a lot to hold someone's hands up and let them know that they're not alone, that you're with them. And so, what I will say is, if you're going to go out there and you're going to do something big, brave, and bold, you may have to go it alone from the people you are familiar with, and that's okay. But make sure that you are building a network along the way. So, it is very hard sometimes if you are the only person who's used to doing things in your family. Maybe you're the person who everyone depends on. That happens a lot of times, especially when I'm dealing with women in leadership, that everything is on them. And there's a loneliness, there's a state of loneliness of the heart. And the only way for you to start to cross over that, one, I would say do your mental health work. That is highly important. But number two, make sure that you have full intentions of not staying alone on the journey. You have to let people in and start to build where you're going on the strength of the team that's coming around you. Because it is very true. You are an imposter if you think you can do everything by yourself, or that you have to do everything by yourself. You don't. You can start to observe and start to build relationships and connections on people who are strong, people who are, one, strong for you, right? And just wanting your growth, wanting your success, wanting to accept nothing less from you other than the fact that they want to see you rise. So you need those people. They are irreplaceable. You cannot pay for that kind of faithfulness in your life. So please do not take it for granted at all. That's a very big deal if you can achieve it. Number two, I would say, like I said it a little bit earlier, build on the strengths of the people around you. So as you're going out there and you start to observe very talented people, people who are amazing at their craft, really start to look at the people that you meet through the lens of collaboration and not necessarily through the lens of competition. Who can you collaborate with? So when you go in those spaces, it's not based on everything that you can do and just how smart you are and how wise you are and all the strength and talent that's in your body, but what you have access to, who you have access to, the resources that you have in your toolkit, because you're building up a network of people who are incredible, who will come alongside you, partner with you on a project and get something done. And what you start to see is that one, when you build those strong relationships, you don't feel like an imposter because you don't have to be everything. That is huge. No one who is honest with themselves on the limits of their capacity at times is really facing imposter syndrome. It's only people who are hoping that they are more than what they are, hoping that they'll tap into that. So if you are, it's okay for you to say, I don't know how to do that. Don't be afraid of running into those moments. I'll say that that's a big deal. Do not be afraid of running into the moments where you have to say, hey, that's not for me, or that's not my gift, or that's not my talent. You don't have to be everything. You don't have to be everything to everyone. And not every customer is going to be good for you. So that's another piece. It's also being able to pursue spaces or being in spaces where who you are as you are is very well accepted. Now, mind you, you got in the room. So if you got in the room, that's a huge compliment to someone believing in your capability. So you can celebrate that someone is admiring you on some level. Maybe they don't know exactly what you do. Maybe they don't know just how gifted you are, but you don't have to show off. But what I'm saying is, if you can resolve the loneliness in your heart, and I'm telling you this because I've had a very long journey with that, in more ways than one. I was an only child for most of my childhood. So being alone is second nature to me. What I wasn't used to was having people who wanted to partner with me, who wanted to collaborate with me. It took me 10 years of my business to get to that space where I had learned the value of partnering with, not, it doesn't have to be someone who doesn't, who does the opposite of what you do. You can do the exact same thing and still be partners. That's the beauty of that. You don't have to be threatened by someone else having a similar a brand or a similar product or service. Partner, collaborate, find out where you can work together. So that's awesome. And I've built the most amazing relationships with people who do exactly what I do, but maybe they have a different style. Maybe they have a different network. They have a different point of view or perspective for problem solving, what they bring to the table. It's so I love collaboration. That's been a huge piece for me, and I've collaborated with many, many partners. And then what I did is, when I started hiring and I started finding talent, one of the biggest mistakes I made and I'm just going to give you a quick business tip. One of the biggest mistakes I made, why it took me so long to hire, is I was always trying to find someone who could do what I did and made what I did easier on me. And I quit doing that. I realized that you'll never know how special you are. Let me just say this. Most of the time we have imposter syndrome because we have not taken inventory of our gifts, and we do not know just how special and rare you are. And if you knew how rare you were, if you knew how beautiful you are, your ability to do what you do the way that you do it, for whom you do it for, is an incredible combination that you may not have learned how to appreciate just yet. You will not know it until you start trying to replicate yourself, and you find that you can't. So you find, like, I'm trying to hire and I can't find anyone who does what I do. Yeah, because you're special. So what I had to do is I had to find people who did what I didn't do to hire, or did the things I didn't want to do at all, or the things I didn't like to do. And I completely changed my business model based on what they had to offer versus what I had to offer. And that was the only way for me to alleviate myself from working 12, 13 hours a day. And that was extremely helpful for me. And so we have a totally different business model. Went from being like a social media manager, a content manager, and creating everyone's content, email newsletters, and those sorts of things, to creating, we call it a content action team, where they go out and they capture that content in the moment, and they do it live. And so we'll collaborate and partner with other agencies who, maybe they love promoting an event, but they may not love like doing the actual social media at the event. And that's what we do. So we found a nice little niche to collaborate with other agencies who did what we did for a long time, and we just solved a very small gap. And so that's been special, and it's nice because for the first time, I can send someone to an event and I don't have to go. And so once I saw that, I had a strong team, and I built on the strengths of my team, one, it built confidence in them, but it also built a lot of confidence in myself, that I have people around me that are providing a beautiful service. I know that we can provide an incredible product, and not because I'm working day and night and I'm exhausted and I'm tired and I don't have enough time to eat or sleep, but because I have incredible people who are with me on this journey. And on top of that, I have amazing partners who can also help support that load. People who can vouch for my reputation, people who are willing to put me on their proposal, their RFP. And so I'm just saying that to say that a lot of times when we're dealing with imposter syndrome, it really is because there's a state of loneliness in our heart where we feel alone. We feel like we have to become something or be something that we're not just yet. We're not too sure of who we are sometimes, or how other people feel about who we are. And so I would just say, like I said, the more people you build that you can trust, people you can appreciate, people who value you and you value them, and you can collaborate, and you don't feel like you have to do everything by yourself. You don't feel like you have to be the smartest person in the room. You're willing to lean on the strengths of others. You can go in that room and be excited about who you can learn from also, and not just hoping that someone learns from you and hoping that someone's impressed with you. They're already impressed with you. That's why you're invited. But go into that room and just be a sponge, because if anything, you can learn. And if anything, if you have gotten this far and you're this brilliant, then your ability to learn, your capacity to learn, your capacity to be able to evolve is incredible. And you can take confidence in that, not what you are in this moment, but what you will become when you leave that space. So, anyhow, what I would love to do is just encourage you to continue whatever journey you need to go on to build incredible relationships. Sometimes that requires working on yourself. Sometimes that requires some mental health support, because if you have trust issues, if you have past traumas, it is very hard to build the kind of team and the sort of networks that support you. It can really be destructive after a while if you let those things creep in. You really have to learn how to appreciate who you have, but also be in a position where you're confident enough to let them go when it's time, because they have to fly and they have to spread their wings at times. And so anyhow, I'm prayer for you on your journey, that it is excellent, and that you start to really appreciate who you are, what you can do, the gift that you have been given. Be a good steward over that gift. Be a good steward over the people who believe in your gift, and make sure that you show them value, and make sure that you go into that room just as willing as you were to pour out. You are also willing to fill up and learn from the other brilliant minds that have invited you to the table, because you are awesome, you are excellent, you are unique, and you are special. But I just want to say thank you so much for watching my broadcast today. And hopefully I will see you in the next video. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel for more communication tips and strategies on how to communicate with yourself. That tip on communicating with yourself is just like I said, you heard it in this video. All the things that I want you to say to yourself about how amazing you are and what you need to do. Run that. What do you need to do to work on yourself? Sometimes people get controlling instead of learning how to be influential. I had to really invest in my people skills quite a bit. And I spent a lot of time in leadership classes, communication courses, studies, training to learn how to be influential. And that helped me out quite a bit on my journey, my sales journey as well. So I'm going to encourage you to do the same. I think that any investment that you can make in yourself is always going to produce a return. So do not be afraid to invest in any improvements that you need, so that you can build the network and the community that is excited about your success. Thanks again, and we will see you in the next video.